All right, y'all, welcome back. So we just finished topic two the other day. Today we're going to start talking about topic three. Okay. This very first section, I think, is something you guys will be really familiar with. I don't think you'll find it too difficult. At least I hope not. Desmos will be your friend. So if you don't have Desmos pulled up and you struggle with plotting points or graphing things, you might want to pull that up. I am not going to use Desmos, but that's always an option for you. Okay. Basically, we're just going to graph functions by plotting points. So we're going to talk about four different types of functions and what they're going to look like and how you would graph them. All right. So the first one's going to be linear equation. All right, which we're all familiar with. Linear means it's going to be a line. So the first step on each of these is to choose 5 values to sub into the original equation. You can pick any x values that you want. All right, I always tend to pick easy ones. Like you could pick 1,000,000 or 100 or 1,000 or 47 if you wanted to. I don't know why you would pick those, but you could. I always try to pick these numbers if it's an option: -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. That way I have some negatives in there. I have some positives in there, but they're relatively low numbers, so they're easy to work with. So again, just random numbers that I picked. So I'm going to take these numbers and plug them into that equation. So if I did that, it would be 3 times -2 plus 2. Then it would be 3 times -1 plus 2. 3 times 0 plus 2. 3 times 1 plus 2. 3 times 2 plus 2. Right? I just plugged these 5 numbers in for x right there. And I just solve them. 3 times -2 is -6, plus 2 is -4. 3 times -1 is -3, plus 2 is -1. So forth and so on. 0 plus 2 is 2. 3 plus 2 is 5. 6 plus 2 is 8. Right? So I have my graph, or I have my points, not my graph yet. So the first ordered pair that I have is -2, -4. So I'm going to graph that. -2, remember the first number, x goes left or right, down to -4. So approximately right here. Right? It's not perfect. My graph isn't perfect. Yours probably won't be either. This is where Desmos might be a little bit handier. -1, -1 would be right here. 0, 2, 1, 5. And then my 2, 8 isn't even going to fit on my graph. So I'm not even going to worry about that one. Okay? So it's not going to fit. So I'm going to connect the dots. Again, doesn't have to be perfect. Mine's obviously not perfect. Right? Doesn't really make any difference whatsoever. Okay? So we plotted it and we graphed it. The last step is to try to approximate what you think the x and y intercept are. If you're doing it on Desmos, or if you put it on Desmos, you're not really going to need to approximate because it's going to tell you exactly what it is. Okay, but for us, the x-intercept in this case, it looks like it crosses like right here. Now my line's not perfect. That looks like the x-intercept right there. So I'm going to say that's like -0.75. Right? It's almost to 1, but not quite to -1. The y-intercept is a little bit easier. The y-intercept crosses at 2, and we are done. Right? So we were able to graph it by picking points. We were able to find the x and y-intercept, and we didn't really have any problems. Okay? That's all we're going to do for all of these, but every graph's not going to be linear. All right? So if we look at this second one, this one has a square in it. So this one is a quadratic, which is what we spent a whole lot of time on in the last topic. Okay, so again, I'm going to pick the same numbers: -2, -1, 0, 1, 2. And all I'm going to do is plug them in. So 2 times -2 squared minus 3. 2 times -1 squared minus 3. 2 times 0 squared minus 3. 2 times 1 squared minus 3. 2 times 2 squared minus 3. Right? I just plugged in those 5 numbers, and now I'm just going to solve it. -2 squared is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 minus 3 is 5. So that would be 1 times 2 is 2. Minus 3 is -1. 0 minus 3 is -3. 2 minus 3 is -1. 4 times 2 is 8. Minus 3 is 5. So I got my points. So -2, 5. 5 and -2 be approximately right there. -1, -1 be right here. 0, -3, 1, -1, 2, 5. And so hopefully we know what kind of shape this is going to make. This is going to make a parabola, right? But again, if you didn't know, you have Desmos, right? So just type it into Desmos and see what you get, all right? Not the end of the world, all right? Feel free to use it. So then we just find the x and y intercept. The y-intercept is right there. So that looks like it's at 3, or -3, excuse me. The x-intercepts, there's 2 of them, right? I have one right here. And I'm going to say that's like 1.3, 1.4. It's not, I don't think it's quite halfway, but it's pretty darn close. This one, I would say, is probably like 1, -1.2. But again, it's not exact. I'm just approximating, right? So I'm just trying to get close. Okay, so it's not, doesn't have to be an exact unless you are using Desmos. Okay. All right. The next time we're going to talk about is absolute value. We do the exact same thing. All right, the exact same thing. I'm going to use some different numbers here just because. -1, 0, 1, 2, 3. So I just picked some different numbers just to show you that it'll work regardless. And again, we plug them in. So -1 minus 1, the absolute value. 0 minus 1, absolute value. 1 minus 1, absolute value. 2 minus 1, absolute value. 3 minus 1, absolute value. So that's going to give us 2, 1, 0, 1, 2, if I solved them. -1 minus 1 is -2. The absolute value of that is 2. Again, you have Desmos. All right? So now we just put them on. -1, 2, be right there. 0, 1, 1, 0, 2, 1, 3, 2. So this one is going to be the shape of a V. Value, meaning it's a V, right? There's a V in the name of it, so the shape of it is a V. And then we do the x-intercepts again, x and y. So the x-intercept, whoops, that should say x equals 1, not y. Don't judge. The y-intercept right here looks like it is also at 1. Okay? All we're doing is graphing it. All right, the last one, same thing. But this one, we want to make it a little bit easier. We don't want to pick those same numbers we did before. Because if I pick 2, if I plugged 2 in here, the square root of 2 is going to give me some kind of ugly decimal, right? I don't want to pick 3 because the square root of 3 is an ugly decimal. So I want to pick numbers that work well. So for example, I'm going to pick 0. Because if I did the square root of 0, that's 0. Right? I could pick 1 because the square root of 1 is 1. I don't want to pick 2 or 3 because that's going to give me a decimal, but 4 would work. Square root of 4 equals 2. The next one that would work would be 9. The square root of 9 would give me 3. And then let's say I pick 16. The square root of 16 would give me 4. Right? So I picked numbers here that would give me good answers over here. So again, you can pick anything you want. All right? So then we just graph it. 0, 0. 1, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 9, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, up to 3. And I don't have enough room for 16, so I'm just not going to worry about it. There's the graph. So the x and y intercepts. X crosses at 0. So does y. Crosses at 0. All right? Those are our notes for today. I have made a Delta Math assignment that you will see that is just like this. Okay? You're going to have to plot some points and graph some things on it. Okay? If you have questions, let me know. I appreciate y'all. Be easy.